Hi, I'm Bean. Oh, I've screwed that up.
And there's the intro.
That's Bean.
Yeah.
Bean, who are you?
Wait.
Okay, let's try it again.
Hi, I'm Bean. That's my stage name. Cue the intro. We done?
That's good enough.
Good,
You
I
can
can
take your
take
glasses
these
off now.
Thank goodness. All right.
2 pH wheat, 6.5 triticale.
Yep, just got a snap from a buddy.
Okay.
Don't know anything about it, but that just blows my mind. Side by side.
But repeat that.
So yeah, he sent me a picture of his pH test. He's got a reader that he can read the sap of the plant, his triticale, and he's cover crop guy, long-term soil health. He's got 6.5 pH on his triticale. And then he's got a neighbor's wheat, I'm assuming is conventional, 2.4 pH. I have no idea what that means, but if anybody does, I'd love to know.
Bean, you know?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I knew that. How much crap are we allowed to give Bean on the podcast? Moderate? Okay.
Do your worst.
All right. Mason, welcome to a comfortable chair.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you here. Bean, welcome back.
Round 2, baby. Something like that, I guess. We want to talk about the bender from last year when
Yes.
I went to Leon.
Yes.
I went down there and I lived out of a tractor for 5 days. I'm not tooting a horn about this either. There's other guys who've done it longer. That's great. Like, this is just the scenario of it. It was an hour drive back to my house, and it was like, well, this is stupid. The guy's like, he's loaning his tender trailer out to run for me. It's a semi, and I've got my air drill, and it's like, why go home? Like, I'm not married. I don't have kids or have kids coming. I have a dog that I let mom dog sit for me, and she loves him. I think he loves her more than he loves me, but that's all right.
That is okay.
And it's like, I'll just go sleep out of the tractor instead of drill till 2 or 3 o'clock, because I'm a night owl. I can't wake up in the morning to save my life, but I can work till 2 or 3, and I'd much rather do that. And so it's like, I'll just stay in the tractor.
Remember being young?
Yeah.
I know.
It's funny listening to that story because it brings up a thought that I ponder a lot. When do you have enough ground? If you're running all night just trying to keep
That's the
up,
name
do
of the
you have
podcast.
too much?
This was custom work, so like this wasn't my ground. Like I don't run that much, but
that's great.
Did you take on too much custom work?
no, not really. I mean, I could have.
Yeah,
The whole thing, like, I personally love running late. I like it when the lights come on. I hate the sun.
You guys have to realize Bean lives to run equipment.
I do.
He lives for it.
Yeah.
Lives for it. That's great, Mason.
Yeah, I've
How
tried
much
to.
is too much?
I've pondered it a lot, and like you said, you love running at night. Some guys don't. Some guys are early birds. Some of us have families. Some of us has other commitments. We're doing other things. We have other interests. But how much is enough? Are you making good wages? Do you want to get further than that? I've always kind of wondered, is a formula of you take the acres per hour you can get, how many days you're willing to put in for that? Say you want to run a 10-hour day, you're getting 30 acres an hour. You want to run 10 days, 3,000 acres of that crop. Now, to most people, that's going to sound like a lot. That's just an example. But, how do you decide when is it enough?
Yeah, and I think out of that 6 days that I was down there, 30-foot drill and refilling about every 60, 70 acres because I was putting fertilizer and drilling wheat. Yeah, that was I whipped up about 1,100 acres, but it was running very hard. And one thing that I wish Ben was here, and I in the future I'd love to hear Ben talk about it, how they used to do a bunch of custom work. I realized this last fall, second year doing custom work with my air drill, am I starting to chase the white rabbit going after custom work? Because you think about it, you go drill your crop and you're like, man, I don't know. Like, if I have my insurance set right, I'm guaranteed on this, but I'm drilling my own crop. Like, I'm not making money right now. If I go drill my neighbor's crop, he writes me a check when I get done, and there's X amount of dollars in. That can be really tempting to a guy like me, a young buck who has a few pieces of equipment and who loves to just not be home, I guess. Let's just chase the acres. But where does that get to be too much? And how do you transition out of that? Because you get used to that income of running 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever, 1,000 acres. And then you're like, well, now I don't have time. I got married. Or whatever.
You have to solve that question ahead of getting married, because I guarantee you a wife's not going to put up with that.
No.
That is a fact.
That's the only reason I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so here's a good question. Right here, right now, what would you say is enough or too much?
give me some add on to that a little bit,
Okay,
because there's circumstantial.
yeah. So let's switch gears from the custom work a little bit. You're a young guy. You're dreaming big. You're building up a farm. Granted, we're all young, so that a little bit whatever.
Well, you guys are young in the farming. I'm still young.
You're an older soul, though.
Yeah.
We give Bean a lot of crap. We give Bean a lot of crap, but I tell people, I said, Bean listens, and that's Bean's biggest asset.
Yeah.
And anyway, before I get all emotional here.
Okay. So so you're dreaming of your perfect future farm. How many acres does that look like? What are you growing a little bit? I guess let's dream for a minute.
That comes into a situation. Are we talking here? Are we talking Western Kansas, where it's just field after field? Because here,
Bean.
Yeah, I want to know Bean's dream.
My dream.
What is Bean's dream?
Mm-hmm.
We're done.
Throw it out.
We're done trying to pick up personal acres. The reason I say that, family operation. I have uncles who farm. My dad farms. Dad and I work together. And I won't say Dad's acres because I don't really have his okay on if I can share that.
Yeah, you don't have to give exactness.
No.
But a lot of my uncle's ground rented. So I don't have a guarantee that I'm going to pick those acres up, but there's a darn good chance that I'm going to have an opportunity to pick up some of those acres. I'm already filled to the gills.
Yeah.
If I kick the custom work to the side in the future and pick those acres up, I'm done. Like, that's it. I'm not chasing. I'm not looking to try to come up the creek here, go further west, east, whatever. It's that we're done. Because it's just...
Bean did custom work for me today.
Right.
That was one bag of humic, though, in an hour of my time. Like,
That's some wheat. You can do some wheat for me.
Yeah, next year, but you're
No,
right
spraying.
here. Oh, spraying. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're literally right
Exactly.
in my path.
Exactly.
That's true. But for me to go chase acres and try to pick more acres up, I'm going to have to go outside your territory, Heathman's territory. And it's just, because one thing, I don't want to be that neighbor who goes, or I want to be the neighbor in the community who goes, or guys go, oh, he lowballed that landlord and stole that ground from me. I'm not out to be that guy. I mean, if a landlord kicks you off and then comes to me, that's a different scenario. I'm not going to go rub it in your face, though, and be like, Josh, why'd you let that guy kick you off that ground? It's like, I'm not going to be that guy. But it's just, yeah, I mean, but then the custom work I was talking about before, though, with the drilling, it's a 3-hour drive in the tractor one way.
And you're not going slow. He's burning up wheel bearings like no other.
Oh.
Wheel bearings out the butt.
All right. The first couple were my fault because I didn't get the castle nut tight enough to seat the bearings because I didn't, everybody always talks about don't get them too tight. You'll burn the bearings up already. Well, you don't get them tight enough. They don't seat right and your bearings go out in no time.
I mean, you're a pretty husky guy, though. I feel like you could really get on the end of those pliers, you know.
Yeah, there's times I have broke things that I was like, yeah. And then there's times where I'm really disappointed in myself.
Yeah. So you talk about going for 3 hours one way for a custom job. I mean, say a guy's running late model, nice equipment, like the cost per hour on a tractor when it's not running in the field and doing anything, that stuff starts adding up too.
Yeah, it does.
The depreciation of cost per hour to run that. How fast do you have to run before you're breaking even, and then how fast do you have to go to make money?
And that is the perfect, I'm the perfect scenario of that I'm realizing that I did trial by error and found that out the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
How? What do you mean?
By running 3 hours one way to chase 1,000 or so acres to drill, and it's like, man, if I just didn't have to have this stuff, I already kind of bit off with buying a house and stuff, but it's like, this isn't really paying out in the long term. I'm putting a whole bunch of hours on this tractor, and I don't know for case tractors, but for newer model deer tractors, once you reach that 5,000 hour cap, there goes the price.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, anymore with the late deer R series.
Yeah.
Plan on thinking about
repairs.
Yeah. Engine or transmission.
The engines are solid in those tractors. The 9-liter engines in the deer tractors are fairly solid. I know some guys who will run them to 10,000 before they have to overhaul them. But it's when you start looking at all the electronics in the newer stuff, in the R series, sometimes the 30 series tractors too, for deer guys who know deer. Yeah, you start looking at def pumps and just CAN bus sensors and all sorts of little knick-knack stuff that's like, boom, D-rate. Now I got to troubleshoot wiring for half a day, and then, there's that little sensor that I need to replace. You unplug it, plug the new one in, and then you go.
Mm-hmm.
Technology, it's great.
When it works.
When it works.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, even on the deers, though, I've seen 4,000 hour R-Series deers split apart in the shop, put new transmission parts in. You look online, overhaul 200 hours ago. I mean, it's just crazy.
It depends on how some guys run them.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just the guy sitting behind the steering wheel and turning the wrenches, taking care of them.
Yeah, and also for the deer guys, or if you're looking at buying a deer tractor, IVT transmissions are 5,000 hour transmissions, max.
Mm-hmm.
You hit that, 8530. We got an 8530. It's got an IVT in it. Hit like 5,050 hours. Boom, tranny went out on the clock, just on the dime right there.
Yeah, I heard one guy that got out of farming, speaking of transmissions, he went to a sales job because he's like, I was tired of living one overhaul away from going broke.
That's how a lot of truckers
That's a scary
run.
Thought. Like in today's world, $30,000-$40,000 transmission to take you under. Like, does anybody have that money just sitting around allocated?
And yeah, if it's your one sole running tractor, and that goes out and you're in the middle of planting season, it's like, I can't even drag the planter across the field now. Like, we're done. I give
Good
you a
thing
lot of hope,
Case
Josh.
is just perfect, huh?
I can't relate.
Okay,
I don't want to wish
so
bad luck.
mouthing deer.
Well, okay, I'm a deer guy.
Both of you are deer guys. I'm just like, you guys are self-destructing yourselves over here.
I'm just there's catches to Case too, but you're too shy to talk about him. It's okay.
I know. MX series tractors. Oh, did you guys ever run any MX? Junk tractors. Oh, man. Replace every line under the cab? Yeah, that's right.
All right, if we have to find one tractor that's good, I've been told that the Challenger series with their Suitsy engine and then their CVT transmission is supposed to be like a bulletproof combo.
I'm going to argue against that, and I'm going to side with, I know Heathman's going to back me on this, the John Deere 100 series, the 8400, the 81 through 8400 series. Those things are bulletproof, and anybody can turn a wrench on them.
Yeah, I'm talking something
Newer.
that's a
Oh,
little
newer?
more modern.
Newer?
Yeah. Anything
Not
pre
so- not-
2012
I was gonna say,
is just
something-
solid.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Pre EGR.
you're
Yeah.
talking tractors before you were born.
Easy.
Yeah, he came out and went, wah.
Oh,
You've
mercy.
been full of good ones with me tonight. Right?
Yeah, we like to give each other a hard time.
Well, that's how we know we're friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Friend makes fun of you to your face and supports you behind your back.
Wow,
And
geez.
an enemy makes fun of you behind your back and supports you to your face.
It's like you texted me that the other night.
I did. Apparently, you need to hear it again.
No, I remember it.
Bean or Mason, more of your interview with Bean. This is
Right.
good. I'm just kicking back here enjoying this.
Yeah,
I was a little concerned. He's giving me a side eye earlier, and I was like,
No.
man, am I going off a bad path here? Like
this
he's
is
like,
good. This is good.
I don't know. I feel like I just dove into the brain of, Bean and his farming dreams and aspirations and
Mason, what's your
complication.
farming dream? 10 years from now,
300-inch
What do you
mule
wanna be
deer
doing?
and 200 bushel
other
corn.
than 300-inch mule deer.
Yeah. I would like to have a little more irrigation just to help curve off some of the drought problems that come about. It's not a perfect solution, but I do have some water to put on. So a little more irrigation, dry land acres, fairly content with right now. The one thing I would like to build up is the cow herd a little bit, just because I know. But the good thing is, when you have crops, you have cheap winter forage, so your winter feed costs go down because
You
of
can
that.
winter graze out there easy.
Oh yeah,
Or your feed in just general.
You can throw a hot wire around a section. Out here, we can't.
No.
We got to go through 15 water gaps just to fence off 100 acres.
And then what happens when it floods in the winter? I got
Yeah.
a neighbor who did that deal where he grazed some fields on the creek, right where Cedar Creek dumps into Cottonwood River. River got full, creek backed up, flooded, and split the herd in half, and had several drowned trying to cross.
Oh wow!
yeah.
This was back around 2010 or pre.
Yeah. Oh,
This is when I was very little.
Yeah, I know out west, I mean, like you said, we can graze well into the winter, and we do get snow, but it's pretty rare that you have a bad winter that you can't leave cows out for a long time. And like when the drought came in, like what guys were giving per acre, or, we do per head per day out there, but when you do it on a per acre basis, like all of a sudden, like your crop profit goes up dramatically just from being able to put cows out there, clean up a little bit of volunteer corn, start some of your residue recycling, getting it built into the soil. It almost pretty lucrative to put cattle out there.
yeah.
I actually got a guy hitting me up who's trying to graze corn stalks or Milo stalks next winter, but it's like, dude, I don't think you really understand. We're on the river,
No.
and there's no water. Like, this isn't like you can, like, just, like, this is whole water every day.
Yeah. We've Woodside. He sends cattle north into Nebraska actually, to graze stalks. You got miles of corn up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of the, like, residue digest and getting that process started,
Humic,
that,
sugar.
well, I wasn't going into that side because I don't know much, but, like, now that we finally dried out, I'm feeding cattle back on the field again now. That's
Same.
nice because we don't have a very good way of spreading manure, and it's like, well, if we don't have to spread it if we feed them on the field.
Yeah.
It's already packed because they've walked across it 10 times when it was wet. For
12-foot trenches where their paths are at.
the ruts were stupid. I literally had a rut that I thought I about flipped the tractor over in. It was about 3 feet deep, and I slid off in it when it was still halfway frozen. You want to talk about butt puckering to the seat? It was scary. Well, you don't realize it till you instantly drop off 3 feet with a loader tractor, and you're just like, wham, and you're hitting the clutch and the brakes and stopping in an instant because you're like, what just happened?
Speaking of feeding out on the fields, one of my favorite things to do if I am feeding some hay out there is go pick the poorest spot in your field that needs a little tune-up, set the bale there, just let them destroy it. It's just a direct shot of organic matter and manure right there that you don't have to go and spend any extra money on.
That's exactly what I've been doing, like targeting the poor spots, because they're silage fields, it's fenced in. And so, like, we silage it because it's the only fields that we have within, like, a 1.5-mile radius of where we feed. And so it was like, go to the hilltops where it's red dirt, literally red dirt right now. We don't have much red dirt for southern guys because I know down south it's nothing but red. But for us, it's like, go to that spot. You know, we're mixing a ration in a feed wagon with silage. Put the bunks there or make little piles through there, bring the hay ring over, drop it close to there, feed there for a couple of days, move over 20, 30 feet, feed there for a couple of days.
I've got a neighbor that he does that on his fields, but he's got one of those bale, rolls the bale, and shoots it out the side. Processor. Anyway, he does it in strips, and he'll pretty much just work his way across the field. Man, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
I really like what I've seen from that.
It's dandy.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm getting out of cows. I mean, I'm on the outward trajectory.
I don't mind feeding them, but it's the sorting and working them.
I hate cow.
Well, and the issue is every guy who deals with cattle and working with family is when you're sorting somebody's cattle, they're like, the cow's walking down the alleyway and she's getting ready to pass the gates. It's like, sell or keep. And he's like, sell, keep, sell. Wait, no, we'll keep her. And you've already dumped her in the sale. And you're like, well, that would have been nice to know about 30 seconds before.
Screaming and fuming mad.
Oh, man. Steam's coming out both ears. And, man, it's ugly. You just don't come around when we're sorting cattle.
You know, you talked about dreams and aspirations. I have found, so I got to a certain point in farming where I was looking for acres. I was wanting to grow, build before starting off on some other business ventures. And the harder I tried to get ground, the harder it was to get ground. When I quit trying, and I say this with as much humility as possible, I dare someone to try this for a year or two. It doesn't happen overnight. When you quit looking for ground, ground comes available. Mm-hmm. I am not kidding. It's opportunity. Opportunity comes and looks for those who are looking for opportunity, not begging for opportunity. Yeah. And anyway, and I had probably the toughest thing for me, and this is a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation, but I actually got to a point where I had to draw a line in the sand, and I'm like, I am not going to do more. I can't do more because it was sacrificing time with my family, my kids, who are my family. But it was that thing. If you had to run this many hours a day for how many days, how much are you farming? Dude, I mean, I'd go stretches of 2 weeks where home was a place with a bed. And that was it. 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And I'm like, this isn't the life I want. This is not. Now, I'm not afraid to work. And when it's time to go, we got to go. But at what point do you draw a line and be like, man, what could I be doing that is a better use of my time and a more profitable use of my time? And the older you get, the more you begin to realize that acres doesn't mean profit. Mm-hmm. And, but your imagination of what you can do with every acre, and Ben says maximize every acre. If you cut your acres by 10% and got a 10% increase in your remaining acres, just because of your added attention to those acres, You just got a better ROI on lower acres, and you have more time. Ooh, that'd be pretty slick.
Yeah, I got a good comment to segue off that. So something that I think about is little towns in western Kansas drying up, people moving away. There's not opportunity. They can't make a living. Well, western Kansas is kind of known for super farms, these massive acres. And that's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to knock anybody. But if you did maximize your acres, more and more profit per acre, it would take less acres. That means more people, more thriving communities. Has our quest for getting bigger caused more problems down the line and the ripple effect that we never predicted, never saw coming, that now we have to address? And how do you reverse that?
Why do you think the acres game became such a deal?
I really think that there was a transition from farming for survival to like feed your family. You go out there, you grow a crop so you can grow some beef, grow some chickens, some pork, have some milk to grow your kids, to where all of a sudden now we started making enough money that we could get ahead. And then it became a profit game, and it just changed the trajectory of going up. If I get a few more acres, I can make some more money. I can be more comfortable in my living, which I'm not knocking anybody to do that. I'm all for financial freedom. I encourage everybody to find that. But it comes back to, when is it enough?
Yeah.
And when you get that ball rolling, that snowball going downhill, how do you stop it?
That's almost where I'm at with the custom stuff. It's like, we're like, chasing acres is great right now, but in 5 years, how is this going to pan out for me? Like, I'm going to have to cut it off eventually.
Mm-hmm.
What's your exit plan? That's, that's a very important thing to know, is what's my exit plan? What do we use in the company? What's the terminology we use? You work it's not work yourself out of a position. How's that go? You fire yourself. Yeah. You get to where you're not needed in your position anymore because someone has filled your position and they're doing a good job with it, and you move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you knock that out. And that's how you build a company. That's how you build a team. But I mean, and I got to a point where, I've turned down ground before.
Don't say that. You might get hated.
That's fine. I'm hated already. I don't care anymore. I really, you have to get to the point where you don't care about other people's opinions, but you care about people. And, you have to realize, if you get offended by, if you get offended by someone you don't go to for advice, you should really question why you got offended by that person, or worry about their opinion. And this is kind of some deep talk. It really is, because you start getting people that are upset over one thing, or people upset over another thing. But at the end of the day, you're making a decision. There are people that judge me for that I'm getting out of cattle. Dead serious. I think it's a foolish decision.
I'm
Well,
jealous.
yeah, you're right on the Flint Hills. Like, this is cattle country.
This is prime.
Yeah.
This is it.
This is as good as it gets.
You hear some of the ranchers around here, you go, this is the best grass in the world, which it's really good grass.
It's up there.
But I'm not surprised. I'm a little jealous. I don't mind feeding. I'd custom feed for guys, but man alive, having to wade through mud. This last 2 months was a perfect example. We were sorting heifers off, and we were doing the classic keep, sell kind of game, and it was like, you got to let me know, because it's going to take me twice as long to get my foot out of about a half foot or a foot mud, and hoping that my boot stays on my foot and not in the dirt, or in the mud. That's a hopeless feeling when you hear that and your boot sucks off.
Especially when there's a mean one coming
Boy,
straight for you.
We're going to trim that right there and make the world's greatest reel.
Hey guys, Ben and Josh here. We've been doing a blog once a month, kind of help us express out exactly how we work through problems on a monthly basis. And
It's pretty real life. It's dealing with real life problems
yeah.
on the farm. Typically, it's a vent session in short form. So, you want to check it out? Links in the description.
Yeah, but on that comment, I've thought it as well as I try new things out in western Kansas that are deemed never work. You get out of cattle. Some people are going to give you their opinion, but a lot of times we worry about everybody's opinion, and I'm fairly confident that nobody actually has that opinion of us, and they don't spend any time thinking about us.
They're so worried about their own appearance.
Yep.
Really. I mean, if you can, and I say I've turned down acres before just because I had to draw that line in the sand. And I don't know. I had some very influential people come into my life and say, "What's your goal?" Well, you know, when I had to really step back and be like, "What is my goal here? Do I want to be the biggest farmer, or do I want to be a guy that people are like, man, that guy's a good farmer?" And that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I mean, it's important to be respected in your community. I do believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be the hot shot farmer that, people don't have respect for. But it's that fine line between I want to have respect, but at the same time you have to be able to also not care about specific people's opinions, because there will always be someone that is hating on you. And there's always someone that, and the better you do, the more haters you're going to have. Dead serious.
That is 100% true.
Yeah.
I've had close friends turn on me because guess what? I've finally got my feet underneath me. Giving credit where credit is due, Dad has helped me out a lot. I've also worked for him my whole life, though, but, he's the reason I'm farming. And some close friends go, "Oh, you just got everything handed to you.
Silver spoon."
And it's just like, you really don't know, do you?
Yeah. Those nights you come home fuming mad, want to punch a hole in the wall and just quit and leave.
Or you're sleeping out in the middle of nowhere with your tractor
And you're
remembering how it was given to you.
Right.
The best thing about those tractor
Right.
naps is it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to realize where I'm at. The first time that I had this happen, I woke up and I was like, I'm in a cotton field. I don't grow cotton. Because I was
You're drilling wheat in the cotton field
I was
on a
drilling
custom
in
job.
field cotton.
Where
and I was
am I?
I was like, what am I doing, Joe?
I
It's
I just figured
puzzle
you were,
pieces together. We're drilling wheat custom.
I just figured you were out by Ben next to some of the irrigated cotton fields down there, and you forgot you were down in southwest Kansas.
Does anyone grow cotton in your area?
No, but the craziest thing is there was a guy in northeast Colorado. He's a I'll try anything type of guy, and he went out and grew dryland cotton in Colorado. Brought in the strippers, baled it up, and hauled it to the nearest cotton gin.
What, 24 hours away?
No, I think there's, Ben would know, but I think there's one down in southwest Kansas, but more towards the west central part.
Oh yeah, you said Eastern. I was flipped. I was backwards.
Colorado.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Colorado. Yeah,
Colorado.
I was backwards. I was like, they hauled that clear across the Rockies.
yeah. Well,
I was
Hey,
way
man,
backwards.
underwear important.
yeah.
Gotta get your
That's
whitey tighties.
You know it. Yeah, good old. If he could find a way to market it as some sort of premium Colorado cotton, hey, value added. Good for him.
Well, the guy that I was drilling for when he had that was 2022 when I was drilling in the failed. This year I was following the strippers, and he said trucks would leave Texas. I forgot where we're at in Texas, about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. They'd get up there and load before noon and then turn around and head back. 2 trucks haul 8 or 9 bales apiece. These are 9-foot bales. They're not like your regular hay bales. Turn around and go clear back to Texas. I'm like, man, I know I pass a cotton gin heading down to Liberal. There's one down there. What are they doing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole cotton world. Ben can talk on the cotton. I don't have a clue.
I may be wrong. There's some sort of cotton
Maybe there's
facility
hybrids,
on the way to
grades.
Ben's.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think they grade it off of quality. Like some people can grow amounts of lint, but growing the quality of lint is a whole different thing.
One thing our seed rep has tried to push it to us. Like, try 20 acres of upland. It's like, man.
Of cotton?
Yeah. It's like, man, I don't have the time to go spray that. Like, because it's like we're haying and doing other things.
Yeah, because you got to hit it with picks, stop it from blooming. I think it's a growth suppressant, like a growth regulator.
PGR or something. Yeah, you gotta. It's got to be your baby. You got to take care of it.
Yeah,
and it's like I'm too dumb for that. I'm not ready for that challenge yet. But Milo.
Oh, Bean. I like this. I like this dreams and goals talk.
Yeah.
I like this dreams and goals talk.
I think Milo would work on upland. Keep it out of the river. Keep it out of the low where it's going to be wet. And that upland ground where we can only raise 30 bushel wheat.
Nothing.
Maybe on a good year it'll be 30 bushel wheat.
Milo's pretty particular about soil too, so
we're gonna find out. I'm
on
dropping 70 acres behind my house.
You're doing
pretty,
it?
Yeah.
It was just Milo.
No, that was failed Milo. Well, part of it was like 30 acres was.
Failed Milo's still Milo, man.
Yes, I get that. All right.
No,
but like it was double.
Milo.
It was double crop Milo, and it failed miserably.
Strip till it.
I'm going to.
Good.
Yeah, we're not no-tilling it. We're stripping it, or we're gonna full-blown conventional. One of the two.
Bean, what's the greatest takeaway of 2023 moving into 2024 for you? Because I know your year of learning was a year of learning.
Yeah, don't get in a flippin' hurry. I realize when May comes around, don't go gung-ho and plant all your beans. I mean, because for
guys are going to hear that and think it's late that are up in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa.
Kansas, central Kansas, like literally almost central Kansas, or in the center of Kansas. I'm talking east, west, north, south.
So central.
Should be a geography.
Well, you hear some guy. All right, let me go on a little rant here, Aaron. Central Kansas is not described central Kansas half the time. You hear guys talk about being western Kansas farmers, and they're like, I'm 10 miles west of Wichita, Kansas.
Bean, just talk about what you're going to talk about.
You're not western Kansas. Anyways, learning, yeah. Learning to not hurry yourself into like, oh my goodness, it's dry, go now. Because in 2022, it took us 2 months to plant beans, and we only ran 12 days.
Yeah.
Last year, I did Dad and I's in about 5, and it was 5 consecutive days.
Bean was one of those guys that was in the field, and I was like, I have to go because guys are in the field. Bean was one of those guys in the field giving me like PTSD type stuff.
I was bad. Like, you guys say you give me too much crap, but I did deserve a lot of crap for what I used to do.
Oh.
I think I'm fairly convinced that farmer peer pressure is the strongest force on earth known to man. Like, that is the ultimate motivator to go do something.
My neighbor's in the field, therefore.
I got to go get in the field.
Why do you think I go out there early and test wheat when I know it's 20?
Just throw neighbors off into a panic.
Exactly.
You sitting there, you're like, oh, I'm going to run down there. You don't have to turn your header on. You just drive down the field in the combine, drive by the house, and then all of a sudden you see combines coming out and trucks and grain carts coming out and just this whole train headed to the field. And the guy goes like 30 feet and goes, oh. And you sit back and you're just chuckling.
Oh, yeah. I don't even get that full circle cut to turn your trucks around. I stop, back up next to the field entry, hop out, and go home.
Anymore, I just text Bean. Is it dry?
18.
Saves me from going all the way to the field. I just keep doing my thing.
Man, I remember when I was a kid, I used to love wheat harvest. Thought it was the greatest thing ever. You know, I was out of school, so I got to go ride in the combine and everything. One of our neighbors was using his combine and draper to swath some wheat to roll into hay. We were going down the highway, and I looked over, and I saw that combine going through the field. Granted, I didn't run anything. I was a month out, but every single day I'd go ask Dad and Grandpa, hey, are we going to cut today? Wheat hadn't even set a berry yet. Just for a
I'm ready to
month.
go cut wheat.
Yeah, man, I was game on for farmer peer pressure from like 8 years old.
I feel like there's a way we could hit on that a little bit more, how to offset the farmer peer pressure, because it's really hard. If you haven't farmed, you don't get it. You flat don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
No,
If you farmed and your neighbor's down there, it makes you feel like a lazy piece of crap.
Yeah,
If he's
well,
doing something.
I think part of it is, you know, as a farmer, you're making all the decisions for that business. And if you make one that's wrong, that's all on you. And everybody gets to see it for months on end.
And the worst one that gets to see it
Is you.
didn't even have to say it.
Yep.
That's right.
Exactly.
And who judges your crops the most?
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I
It's
mean,
true fact.
Back to the neighbor thing. They probably look at it once. The first time they see it, they're like, well, he made a mistake. You know, that's not good. Then they drive by and don't really pay attention.
Yeah.
I do it. I mean, I
Oh, yeah.
look at something a neighbor does. You say, well, that didn't work out for him. And then I forget it.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
You got some enlightening point of wisdom over here, Bean?
No. Not that I can say on the podcast.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
You
but
got
back
all
to
the-
the original question, though. How do you mitigate peer pressure? Man, I don't know. I like to stick to a plan and roll with it and hope for the best. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we're doing anyway. So
Yeah.
you just learn to bite your tongue and deal with it.
Well, it's a matter of being a student and progressively learning about your profession. And as you learn and as you network, we talked in the last podcast, the more you network, the better of just a businessman, a farmer, a grower, whatever you might be, you become. And you start to know more, and the more experience you have, you know, kind of like I hate this, the older, quote, older generation. I mean, like we said, they'll tell you what hasn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those deals where it's like, if you know you shouldn't be doing something, you really probably shouldn't be doing it. I had a field last summer in 23 where I'm going along, and this is so stupid, man. This is so dumb. I told myself the wheat was dry. And I go up there to cut. And it was a ways. It was a drive, and I get up there, and I'm looking at the yield monitor, or the moisture tester on the combine. That can't be right. I knew it was right. I knew it was close enough. That wheat was too wet to cut. And I kept cutting. I was like, I just want to get done. Anyway, and so I cut. I got that field done. It wasn't very big, thank goodness. And I'm sitting there. Thankfully, it was my field. It wasn't a crop share field. And I didn't get out of the cab. I didn't touch the grain. I didn't, feel it, see. I was just like, I'm just going to turn a blind eye. I'm going to cut this and get done with and be over with it. I get out, dude, when I'm done. It's like I said, small field, I reach in there. And, dude, I could pull my hand out, and there's just wheat sticking to my hand.
You're sitting there like, come on, you're dry.
Yeah, it's
dry.
dry, right?
I'll fan it a little bit.
And every farmer's done this. I swear every farmer's done this. That cut something wet. They're sitting there, and they turn the auger on, and as it's going into the truck, you're telling yourself, surely that's drying a little bit between now and that truck.
Yeah.
And I'm going to...
And then you're
Wet grain dumps differently than dry grain, and you know it when
It takes twice as long to unload.
Well, the second it goes out the end of that spout, there's a different, like the way it funnels is just completely
no
different.
sound.
And you're
there's
just
no
like,
flow.
There's no sound. It's
you're
quiet.
sitting there and you're like, I'm really hoping I start hearing kernels like bounce off.
Yeah,
the
I'm
tin and
going
stuff.
to. Yeah, and anyway, so I went out there, and this dude, Thank God it wasn't very much wheat. Just for kicks and giggles, I took that crank off on the bottom of the hopper and I started opening that gate. I opened that gate 2/3 of the way open before any wheat came out.
It's just the outside round. It just fell at the bottom of the truck. You tell yourself that. It's just the outside round. It's a turn row. It'll get dry.
That's right. Just around the trees is always wet.
Yeah, how many? I don't know. I'd have to take my shoes off and get a calculator to count how many times that I'd like tell myself it's gonna be okay. It's gonna get better. It's gonna do better. And you tell yourself so much that you believe it, and you can look at reality and the truth right in the face, and it's like you're wrong. You tell yourself that.
August is the month
Of promise.
of promise.
Oh yeah, promise.
September is a month of reality. And that's the same thing. You sit there and you tell yourself that crop's going to be, you're sitting there, you're counting the rows around, you're counting the numbers long, times population, Well, those are pretty good sized kernels. I think this can divide by this. Dude, we got some killer corn. Woo-wee, this is going to be good stuff.
I got 200.
Yeah, according to my math here, I have this.
I say 200 for dry land and where we're at.
200 for us is big stuff.
I know.
That's big stuff.
Believe it or not, I know guys that have eclipsed 200 dry land out in western Kansas. Now, granted, it takes the perfect year, but it can do it. You guys,
The thing with western Kansas, like we used to vacation out in Colorado every single year. You drive by, man, it's either a desert or it is the Garden of Eden. And that Garden of Eden, there's no corn on this planet that looks better than western Kansas when they're getting your good rain.
Yep. Like I said in the last podcast, like little Iowa out there, I mean, we have the soil to do it.
Yeah.
We just lack the moisture. I mean, that's why irrigation is awesome for us. I try to look around and like guys in eastern Kansas, when they've put up a pivot, I'd like to say, okay, what's your dry land yield goal? And what's your irrigated yield goal? And a lot of times they just plan on usually 100 bushel per acre. Now that's just being general with everybody. But out in western Kansas, like it can be 150 to 175 plus bushels per acre by putting up water. So like that return on investment on irrigation is big. Now, granted, we aren't digging any more new wells out there. That ship has long sailed. But just we have the soil to do it. And then when you add the water to it, good things happen.
Yeah.
You say adding the water to it like it's really simple, but there is a astronomical amount of work to throw a pivot up and run that.
Oh,
pivot.
yeah.
Just to service the pivot.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Mr. Fertigation in this room.
He's still in this room. He's
Press
sitting
run
back
on your
there.
phone, and that thing takes off.
That's when I was drilling for Ben. Hey, can you move the pivot? Yeah, click.
Turn it on his phone.
You just see the
Right.
strobe light kick on, and you're like, he's got it.
Yeah. Shoot, I'm drawing a blank. I had something good to say.
Oh, good. I'm not the only one who draws a blank.
Yeah.
The wheel's turning, but the hamster's dead.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say now. I mean, with irrigation, it's kind of crazy, talking about a lot of work. It might be the only piece of equipment that breaks when you stop it. Like pivots, just when you turn them on and they run, they just keep going, minus a major malfunction. You stop them and try to start them again, boom, not working. Boom, kicks out. What the heck is going on? It is the weirdest thing. You're driving a tractor and implement, something goes wrong, right there out in the field. Irrigation, sprinklers, wells, whole nother beast.
Yeah.
Like when you let something sit long enough and you go to fire it up and you're like, man, how much work is this going to be? Like, I want to run in 2 days. Is it going to be a week's worth of working on this before I can get back up and going?
Dude, every farmer goes through this, I swear. We pull out of the shed, head to the field. We cut that
That wet wheat.
That time you don't text Bean on what the moisture is.
That's right. And you go out there and you're going through corn harvest or beans, whatever you're cutting, and you get to the end of harvest and you're praying that piece of equipment holds together for that last field. Come on, just you're hearing things. You're hearing a rattle. You're something shaking. Something's vibrating. We got, you're just like, come on, I'm almost there. I gotta go. And you put that piece of equipment. You come home, you wash that piece of equipment off. You put it in the shed. Next crop, you pull that thing out like it's a brand new machine. Let's freaking go.
Hey, there's this magical thing. It's usually up either in front of you, to the right. It's called a radio. You just crank that dial up. And man, your problems just go away.
Disappear.
They just, in thin air, woof, gone.
Man, you're talking about, that last field holding together. I swear when somebody asks you towards the end of harvest, how much you got left, about a day and a half if I don't break down.
Oh, man, the second you say
if I
that,
don't
man, it's
break
like,
down.
click gearbox.
Story of a
gone.
farmer's life.
If I don't break down. Oh, mercy sakes. Yeah. That's fact. Well, we're out of time.
It's been a good one.
It's been real. It's been fun. It's been
Real fun.
darn straight. Bean, any last words?
No. I'm drawing a blank right here.
Are you going to kick your TikTok back up?
Probably not.
Gosh dang it. What platform? Instagram?
I'd say Instagram is my
What's your Instagram?
Soya's Farms.
Or, if you're from the country, it's Sawyer Farms. He's French, so don't judge him on it.
Well, the name's French. I'm German. It's a complete, it's a crap show. I asked Dad,
French
what's the
and
right?
German.
I asked Dad, I go, what's the right pronunciation? Either one. I'm like, that doesn't help me. What's the right pronunciation?
Bean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bean.
That is a nickname I never thought would stick in a million years. I told Josh that as a joke because a teacher called me that back in high school, and that was the only time.
You know who told me that? Mike Horst.
No kidding.
Mike Horst. He made some comment. This is back before we were friends. He said, yeah, they call him soybean in high school. And he just
Well, it
died
was
laughing.
Physical science teacher.
Little did he
Budkin.
know.
Oh, yeah.
Little did he know. We got the bean.
Yeah, the nickname.
Even in Canada, there's people that are like, hey, how's Bean?
Yeah.
I'm shocked. I'm flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted.
I can't even talk now.
He's so impressed he can't even talk.
I know. I figured when I kind of gave up on TikTok, it was like, I had that's cool. Like, I got to meet some really cool people. That was it. And then it was like, holy crap. People actually do care about me.
You never know where the next turn in the road's going to go.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Well, like you said, when you stop looking, there it
Things
is.
I'm telling you, when you get your perspective back in line and your priorities straight, good things start happening. It's true. You got to draw that line in the sand and not cross it. Like, this is my boundary. One of my favorite sayings is you train people how to treat you. And it's a fact. If you let someone get away with something once, they will get away with it twice. And I'm telling you, time and time again, you have to draw that line. And in business, in family, in whatever, in your community, whatever it might be, if you let someone run over you, they'll run over you again. They'll take advantage of you. But I'm telling you, it's be true to yourself. It's very, very important. It's key. It's crucial to your success. Because if you're not, there's always someone out there that's looking to take, and there's also someone out there that's looking to give. So it's very important to keep that perspective in mind.
How freeing was it when you drew that line? Like knowing that, hey, I've hit my capacity. I don't have to worry about getting more acres, more this, more that.
It was a huge relief. It was a huge relief, and it changed people's perspective, or changed people's view of myself, because the landlord, someone came to me, they said, hey, I'd like for you to farm my piece of ground. Like, lucky you type conversation. Mm-hmm. And I said, thank you. I appreciate the offer. I'm not interested at this time. But here's someone who might be. They're a good farmer. Mm-hmm. And they were offended. They got mad.
Really?
They got very mad at me. Yeah, very mad. And I was like, listen, I'm not interested in more acres right now. It has nothing to do with you, your ground, your family, or whatever it might be. Until he got mad at me, then it did. Mm-hmm. But I said, listen, I'm not looking to expand. And this guy just could not believe it. And then he tried to get me to farm it even worse, like even harder. Tried to guilt trip me into it. It's at one point. And anyway, finally he left it alone. But after that happened, that conversation, that was probably the most freeing point, is when I actually, it's the difference between saying you're going to say no and actually saying no. That's difference. When you learn to tell someone no, when you learn to when you teach someone how to treat you, when you draw that line in the sand, I mean, I'm telling you, life goes uphill from there in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
It goes uphill, and it's good.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, as we're sitting here, farmers talking, you said life went uphill when you said no to ground. I mean, I feel like as a cultural status, like when you get more ground, life goes uphill. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Because when that happened, I started to realize where I was neglecting and what I was neglecting.
You're going for quantity over quality.
Quantity over quality. And when I hit that threshold and I realized where I was lacking, that's when I really started to go upwards. About the time I met Ben. Ben was very crucial. That's when my trajectory went up and becoming a better farmer.
Mm.
Not a bigger farmer, a better farmer.
Yeah.
Really becoming good with numbers. Like Jake said in the last one, really knowing your numbers, really knowing your cost of production, your risk management. You just become a better businessman.
Yeah.
I mean, physical, out of the house, workload.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. It's okay to hire something done.
Yeah.
It's okay. Some people's answer is just work more hours. That is not always the answer at all.
Well, at some point you run out of your 24 hours in a day. You just
right.
can't squeeze in anymore.
That's right. Everyone has the same amount of hours. The only difference is how you treat your set.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway. Cheers to 24, boys.
Heck yeah.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good year.
It's going to be a good year. It'll always be entertaining when you got Bean around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to see what some trial work shows up.
Be fun.
I don't think I'm going to raise crops to the moon, but I'm excited to see what happens.
Profitability and adaptability.
Absolutely.
So, keeping a good circle around you. All right, guys. That's it for this one.
Okay. We'll catch you later.
Peace out. What's Ben say?
Catch you later.
Oh, that is what he says.
Yeah.
Well, I flopped on that one.
It's
Toodles.
a Western Kansas thing.
That's what it is.
I go back to the cartoons. Toodles.
Toodles, Bean.